And we hope tremendously that all of this that we've done over the last few months has really been very educational because of the fact we have a lot of faces that are not operating here today as concessionaires that would like to be a part of it, and that's what we want to make available. On that note, I want to thank you very much, and I'll entertain any questions on the back end when we bring everybody back up, all of the panelists. But right now, Mr. David Nicholas, who is managing this process with our Airport Development and Engineering Department, will talk a little bit further. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. I want to thank Zanola for putting me up last. You know, we save the best to last. Now we're going to show you a little bit about what the program's all about, what we envision some of these terminal improvements to be, and what we think the final environment will be that the passengers will see when they come to our new airport. If I can figure out, okay. One of the things that was decided as this program was put together, what are some of the core obligations that DFW has in terms of keeping this airport functional and operational? One thing we want to do is we want to maintain a safe and operationally reliable facility. The facility is getting a little aged and a little worn. There's some issues that we're dealing with right now on new regulatory requirements that are in existence that weren't in existence 35, 40 years ago. And we're also looking at sustainable investments. We want to reduce the cost of operating and maintaining this airport. It's very important to, you know, cut the cost of operation so we can increase the airport operating revenues. What we've come up with is a concept whereby we have evaluated all of the existing building infrastructure, all of the existing mechanical, electrical, lighting, communications, fire protection, all of the systems that are within the building, and have evaluated their capabilities for being able to be enhanced. And as a result, what we've identified is we pretty much have a system of a set of systems here that need complete replacement. So what we're going to be doing as we go through these terminals and shut them down a third of a terminal at a time is completely replacing all of the infrastructure that's in those terminals above the ceilings and behind the walls. At the end of the day, about 70% of the cost of this program is related to just upgrading the utility and infrastructure systems. The downside to that is the passengers and everyone that comes through this terminal when it's open won't see where all the money went to because it's all hidden. But again, we're going to gain a lot of efficiency in the operation of the airport, and hopefully a lot of sustainability items will be addressed. One of the reasons this is being done is we're taking a look at an investment in the North Texas's future. We want to improve our infrastructure in order to meet the customer expectations. We have to accommodate the DFW area population growth and the potential growth of the airport itself and the traffic that we have to handle. And we want to reduce our environmental footprint. We want to cut the amount of emissions that we're dealing with throughout. And again, we're trying to become more competitive in the global marketplace. We have a lot of passengers that come through this airport that travel all over the world and all over the country. And we want to be up to the standards that they're expecting to see when they're traveling through airports. Some of the overall enhancements that we're going to be making involve trying to be a little bit more visible with our shops and restaurants, creating some concession nodes. We'll get in to see this a little bit later as I get into some of the other exhibits and the video that we're going to show. These will be centered around the Skylink, the terminal stations, where we're going to have a lot of the passengers congregating. We're going to look at an expanded and reconfigured security checkpoints for the various terminals for the TSA. We're going to be rotating this from their current configuration to get better queuing and better access and better flow of people and baggage. We're going to have a lot more self-check-in options. The terminals are going to have a lot of ticketing areas with kiosks. People typically come to the airport now and they've already got their reservations. They go to a counter and they get a boarding pass and they're on their way. So there won't be as many ticket agent gates per se or counters. Be a lot more kiosks. And then we're also looking at improvements to the various parking garages that are associated with each of the terminal complexes. These are going to be upgraded and enhanced with respect to their lighting and their communications and some of their signage, as well as structural modifications to upgrade them a little bit over what they're currently at. The Terminal Development Program, or what is now the CTRIP program, started out basically in the September 2009 timeframe with a programming and schematic design phase, and that's currently wrapping up. We're in the process now of finishing the program and schematic design, and we're moving into the design phase. We're doing all 4 terminals, 4 of the existing terminals, A, B, C, and E. We are having outreach programs that we're having with the minority community to encourage active participation in the future design and construction of this airport. I'll get into that in a little bit when I talk about the construction managers at risk that are going to be involved in seeing that all this construction is overtaken. We had an integrated team that we put together to do this initial programming effort. Some of the things that we're looking at doing is we're going to try to take and emphasize a little bit better the main terminal entry points for the passengers that are coming to the airport. We're going to have a new vertical core with some high-capacity elevators so that we can get people between the lower level and the upper level more conveniently. We're also going to be looking at curbside enhancements, new entry canopies, covered pedestrian crossings at some of the main entrances, and a more adequate signage to get people directed to where they are, where they need to be going. And then again, as I pointed out earlier, we're going to have some refurbishment of the garages and some garage replacement work that we're going to be doing. Within the terminals themselves, in the departure halls, the point I made earlier about reconfiguring the ticket areas, incorporating some of the new self-service technology, and providing some premium check-in capabilities for the airlines, trying to increase the passenger flow, reduce the queuing time at some of these points, try to increase the natural light within the terminal within the restrictions that we have with the existing structure. We're trying to create an environment that's similar to what we have in Terminal E, but or D, excuse me, but obviously we're limited by the existing structures and the spaces that we have to work with. So we're going to be looking at trying to increase some more natural lighting through the addition of some skylights and just enhancing the interior finishes and the circulation flow within the terminal building. The security checkpoints are going to be consolidated and expanded. We're going to be incorporating all of the current and what we anticipate in the near future as the new technology requirements for the TSA for the various types of scanning machines. And then we're going to be looking at providing adequate backup and support for the TSA operations. On the concession side, we're going to be trying to create more of a concession grouping like we have over in Terminal D, where we have the concession villages. We're going to be trying to congregate a large group of these concessions around the various entrances and exits to the Skylink terminal stations. We're going to try to integrate the revenue seating along with some of the gate lounge seating. And then we want to, again, create a sense of place and try to create, a natural light and a more enhanced, cheery environment for this kind of an operation. What we're doing right now is we're beginning a lot of this early construction. If you've been out there recently, you've probably seen some of it going on through what we're calling some enabling projects. There's a few areas that we need to get some improvements made so we can do some temporary relocation of some operations before we get involved with the main shutdown of the first section of Terminal A, which is going to happen after Super Bowl next February.